Hello, everybody, to the 7th installment of the Transform Education series, where we help you transform your practice, patients, and healthcare by adding functional medicine services based on how your patients are adapting to stress. I'm your host, Pete Wisniewski, and I'm so excited that you're with us once again as we investigate functional medicine approaches. I understand how difficult it is being a doctor who uses natural approaches. Day in and day out, you battle against competing ideologies, a hostile legal landscape, and decreasing insurance reimbursements. I hope that through this series, we can help you get started transitioning to cash and learning about approaches that grow your business and help your patients without you having to do all the work by using technology and staff. In case you missed any of these sessions, you can easily find the replays and notes to follow along at transformwellness.org. I want to thank everyone who's been spreading the word about this series and sharing with friends and colleagues. You'll be glad to know that we have hundreds of new docs registering every month and have been catching up on past webinars. If you are new, do not hesitate to reach out and say hello. Today, we welcome back Dr. Bill Hemmer. Dr. Bill and I have been working closely over the past 2 weeks, creating this webinar based on his vast experience integrating functional medicine in our conversations with hundreds of doctors. Over the past couple months, doctors have been asking us what it's like being in the trenches and doing the work. So we have been busy putting together an expanded look at the 90-day cycle, complete with a flowchart that you can use to incorporate this work into your healthcare clinic. I am grateful that he's been so generous with his time and resources to be with us today and with me over the past couple weeks. I also want to thank my brother John for spending his valuable time helping create these flowcharts and PowerPoint presentations. I'm eternally grateful. During this 40-minute webinar, feel free to participate in the polls and ask questions, and we will do our best to answer them at the end of the presentation. Now, please join me and give a warm welcome to Dr. Bill Hemmer.
Well, thanks, Pete. I'm honored to be part of this series with Dr. Rhonda and Dr. Annette. Their material is just awesome, and their services are also awesome. So make sure you're taking advantage of both of their expertise. And go back and listen to the recordings that we've done so far and start to implement just parts of it. Because what you'll find is with spaced repetition, all of these things will become so much easier for you. And that's why we recorded them in the first place, so that you can use them in the future. And if you guys haven't figured out so far, I am the implementation guy. So if you're having trouble and issues implementing some of the stuff that we're talking about in these webinars, get on my schedule and I'd be more than happy to help you out. Today, let's talk about the 4 secrets of running a staff-driven wellness program. One of my favorite sayings from Jim Rohn is, humility is a virtue. Timidity is an illness. We don't have the luxury of being timid as we move forward in this wellness community. We have to be the force. We have to be the forefront. We have to be the people that carry the torch for true wellness in the future. What you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, and enthusiastically act upon will eventually come to pass. This is my motto and the motto that I use every day to create and move forward with my wellness program. And the reason that we did the Transform series in the first place is because we've imagined exactly what true wellness will look like. We have the desire to move it forward into our communities, into our nation. We believe it can be done, and we're going to act every day to move this whole thing forward. That's why we're doing the Transform series in the first place. In this transformation series, we are defining the necessary components of a complete wellness program, because you really can't get where you want to go unless you have a map. To move forward with confidence, well-referenced classic wellness measurements must be used and assembled in a way that makes sense to everybody. This will create the unified front and the face of wellness care in the future. This is important because if you're not making the progress you are capable of making, it is because your goals are not clearly defined. Our job is to create a wellness system that encompasses everything that we know up to this point, but then takes it farther, faster than any other wellness system in this country. That is how we become the face of wellness in the future. To add validity and credibility to this system, objective measures must be collected in a systematic and consistent way from coast to coast, because you can't manage what you can't measure. So where are you right now? Can you imagine your practice including a complete functional medicine program? Are you ready to walk across broken glass to make that vision of your practice a reality? Do you believe the timing is right for you to follow through and get this done for you and your family? And are you ready to take action right now? If the answer to all of those questions are yes, then you're in the right place. This webinar is designed to take you step by step through the complete 90-day wellness cycle. This functional medicine approach to care can be duplicated and repeated as many times as necessary to make sure your patients achieve their ultimate wellness goal. So let's see what that looks like. The day starts with a staff meeting that allows you to focus your energy to helping as many people as possible with your new wellness approach. In the reception area, there's patient testimonials and educational videos running that allow your patients to understand where they're at in their current level of care and the future level of care that you can provide them. And then finally, your laser focus during your treatment times is designed to add value and deepen the relationship on every visit with every patient. When they are ready to step up to the plate and create the ultimate wellness lifestyle that everybody is really dreaming about, then you're ready to provide that to them. If you're still having trouble introducing your wellness program to your patients, go back and listen to the 5 tips on how to introduce your wellness program to your patients, the last webinar that I did on the transformwellness.org website. The first step to leverage your time and current practice situation is to identify a current staff member who can be trained to be the wellness technician in your office. Almost every practice has somebody that is not being utilized to the fullest extent. They have the passion, they have the knowledge, they have the will to really take their own life and the lives of your patients to the next level. Once you identified that current staff member to be trained as the wellness technician, it is time for you to sit down and introduce your vision of the phases of health restoration to that individual. Because once they start to grasp and really become part of the solution to their own health restoration, then they can turn around and teach your patients and your future patients exactly what is going to be necessary for them to become healthier over time. Now that your future wellness technician understands the phases of health restoration, they need to identify exactly where they are in the phases of health restoration. So once they understand where they are at, then you can turn around and discover the real reason for them to move forward in their own health and life, and then explain how you can help them realize their own goals. Every person's real reasons are different. Most of them are based around their kids, their family, their spouse, their financial situation, some incident or event that scared them in the past that they do not want to repeat in the future. Once there is an emotional link to their wellness program and to their future health, it becomes much easier and much more effective for you to keep that goal or that real reason in focus all the time. If you do that, motivation does not become an issue. Now that your future wellness technician has their goals, they understand their real reason to get healthy in their own life, it's time to take that staff member through the first 90-day cycle. The vast majority of the wellness technicians of the future will be in phase 1 of the health restoration, and that's reducing the stressors. So the majority of them will go through the gut reconditioning diet, use of digestive supplements, starting smoothies and doing mobility exercises so that they can continue to rebuild their gut so that they can decrease the carbohydrate and food intolerances and increase the amount of fat metabolism so that they can begin to lose weight. Once your new wellness technician has seen benefit and they're starting to feel better, lose a little bit of weight, and just have a much better grasp of the entire wellness concept and the 90-day cycles, it's time to outline their new duties moving forward. There's 3 different members to the team approach to functional medicine and wellness. The first member is the doctor that trains the staff, chooses the supplements and herbs to be given, educates the patient, and recruits referral partners from the community. The second member is the wellness technician that completes the wellness assessment, educates, stocks, and maintains all the assessment tools necessary to create wellness, stocks the marketing material, and also is involved with the follow-up visits with the patients. And then the final member is the front desk staff that completes the paperwork with the patients, sends the questionnaire invitations, collects the payments, and also creates visit reminders. Now that we have identified the 3 different players in your functional medicine program, let's look at some pre-visit activities. There are 3 different components to the pre-visit activities. The first is the program introduction, the second is the questionnaire invitation, and the third is the welcome letter. Any one of these 3 components can be initiated by the doctor, the wellness technician, or the front staff member, because it really depends on when the patient is ready to initiate the program. All 3 members of the staff should have an easy, effective way to explain the benefits of your functional medicine program to the patient. So anytime when they bring up weight or fatigue or digestion or focus or any other health issue that they're currently dealing with, they need to have a very easy and effective way to introduce your program to them. You could say something like, "We are currently helping many people with these issues. Would you like to see if you could benefit from this program?" If you get a positive response, then it is time to send the questionnaire. And it is very simple to do. All you have to do is get their name, their email address, and their birthday, and send them a questionnaire saying, yeah, you will be receiving an email, fill out the questionnaire, and then on our next visit together, we'll sit down and explain what our wellness program does, how we think it can benefit you, and to see if you're really interested. The third component of the pre-visit activities is a welcome letter. After the patient agrees to start the process and you've sent the mobile questionnaire to them, we recommend that you send them a welcome letter. And in that welcome letter, it is going to be further explanation of your functional medicine program. It is going to list the benefits of that program, and it's also going to give them a pricing structure as to what they can expect. Because once they have a further understanding of what the entire plan and wellness program encompasses, then it's going to be much easier for them to agree to move forward in the process. On the next regular patient visit, the first thing you're going to do is acknowledge the receipt of the questionnaire. The next thing you're going to do is what I refer to as blowing up their island on the level of health they thought they currently have. What I mean by that is so many people don't really realize how poor their health is. They just think that they're getting along just fine. But when you're able to show them that they're in stage 2 or in stage 3, they have a 50% to a 75% reduction in their pancreatic function, in their gallbladder function, in their ability to handle stress. They just don't understand how poorly their health really is at this time. Just exactly like you did with your wellness technician, you need to find out what it is that is going to keep them emotionally motivated to work through and become healthy again. Once they understand what the real reason is for them, then you can start to explain what your wellness program includes. Is it going to include a fitness component? Is it going to include supplementation? Is it going to include lifestyle behavior changes? Is it going to include dietary changes? All of these things come into play If they understand that this is what is all encompassing in your program, then they're much more likely to see the benefit. Then you're going to discuss the 3 phases of health restoration used in the PDF that we supply for you. Because if they start to understand that phase 1 reduces the stressors, phase 2 is rebuilding the glands, and then phase 3 is actually stimulating the glands so that they can burn fat and live the life that they want to live, then the likelihood of them following your program is going to be so much higher. Then finally, you're going to explain the financial commitment necessary for them to get started. This is also the second time that they've seen this because it has also been introduced to them within the wellness letter. All of these things are designed to slowly get them to understand that we're looking at this problem from a totally different point of view. We're going to leave no stone unturned so that when they really want to get healthy, we're going to be right there with them. So now you have a patient ready to start your wellness program. So let's utilize staff in the 90-day cycle to make sure that every patient will get the same level of care and get the same benefit. There's basically 5 different visits that they're going to go through in that 90-day cycle. The first is going to be the intro visit. The second is going to be the report of findings visit. The third will be the first follow-up visit. The fourth will be the second follow-up visit. And then the last at day 90 will be the reassessment visit to see where they're at to start the next 90-day cycle. So let's start with the intro visit. The intro visit has many different components to it. The first part, they will finalize the paperwork. In other words, making sure that any additional HIPAA statements or disclaimers are done before leading the patient into the assessment area. And this, there again, can be done by the doctor, by the wellness technician, or it can actually even be done by the front staff member. The second part is that you will review the questionnaire with them. Either the doctor will or the wellness technician once they become accustomed to it. The third component is a quick dietary intake. The patient is asked about RDA-based foods, filtered water intake, and daily behaviors. The next component of the intro visit will be to complete the in-office measurements. All the body measurements will be taken and recorded, and there again can be done by the doctor or the wellness technician. The next component is to collect or order the lab work. Order the basic lab panel if the patient has not completed any kind of lab work within the last 90 days. The next component to the intro visit is the physical capacity quick check, which allows you to introduce the patient to the exercise portion of your functional medicine program. And then the final part of the intro visit is to schedule the report of findings visit with that patient so that when the new labs are done, everything can be compiled and the complete report of findings will be presented to that patient on the next visit. The minimum assessment data that is going to be necessary to complete your wellness program is the blood pressure differentials, calf pressure, activity level, sit to stand functional capacity, a toe touch, weight, desired weight, height, your BIA, your percent body fat, your neck circumference, shoulder circumference, weight circumference, hip circumference, the APG waveform type, the FEV1 breath test, hours of sleep that they have, how much filtered water they bring in, and the amount of RDA foods that they eat on a daily basis. This is the minimum that's necessary to do a complete report. Once you have compiled all of that data, it is time for the report of findings visit. The report of findings visit is going to be presenting that patient with the welcome folder. And this welcome folder may contain the assessment report, program overview, the phases of care, your specific office hours, and frequently asked questions that will be compiled as you continue to create your wellness program within your office. Once they understand all of these different components, it allows you to add even more value to that patient visit. The next part of the report of findings visit, hand the report to that patient that's going to include all of their biometric evaluations, their diet, their supplements, and the exercise that you're going to recommend. Next, you're going to review the lab results for that patient. And you're going to correlate those lab findings with the patient's in office measurements and symptoms so that they understand that you are going and looking at their situation from a complete point of view. Next, you're going to review the phases of care with them. Use the phase of care handout to set the expectations about the responsibilities and the time frames to rebuild their health. So often what will happen is people have unrealistic expectations of where they're at and how long it's going to take for them to get where they want to go. This is the perfect time to say it might take you 6 months, 12 months, 18 months to get through all three phases of health restoration. If they understand that on the front side, then you have so much less problems with them as you work through each into the 90-day cycles. The next thing is you present the care plan. In other words, you talk about the number of visits, any additional lab panels that you think are necessary, any interventions that you're going to use, and the time frame that is going to be laid forward. What is going to be expected of you in 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. Next, you accept payment for that first 90-day cycle. Before the patient receives product or services, payment is collected, and this payment may include all of the visits and the lab work for the entire cycle in a all-inclusive kind of package. This is the way I do it and seems to work the best. And then the final component of the report of findings visit is to schedule the first follow-up visit, and that is scheduled 30 days from the time you do the report of findings visit. What I like to tell my patients is as soon as I hand you this report and your welcome packet, your 90 days starts. The next physical visit into your office is the first follow-up visit. But during those first 4 weeks, your wellness technician is doing a weekly 5-minute wellness check on the phone to keep them engaged and to keep them understanding that you are really there for them. There are 6 different components to the first follow-up visit. The first is a quick symptom check. You review the past symptoms over the last 30 days and to see what kind of changes they have made. Is their brain fog getting better? Is their fatigue getting less? Is their bloating getting better? These are all things from a subjective point of view that allow you to understand exactly what kind of changes have occurred with that patient over the last 30 days. The next component is a phase check. You review the phases of care worksheet with that patient and see if they are ready to move on to the next phase. So often people will not understand where they are at in the entire cycle. Are they in phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3? Every 30 days you explain to them you're still in phase 1, or guess what, you've moved to phase 2, or guess what, man, you're really getting great, you're going on to phase 3. But every 30 days you reiterate where they are so that then they know where they are in the entire process. Then you're going to do a progress assessment. In other words, you're going to look at some of the objective data. You're going to collect in-office measurements in the vitality, aesthetics, and longevity indices to see what kind of objective changes are going along with the subjective changes that they are seeing. The next component is you're going to present the progress report. You're going to use the objective data and the subjective symptom changes that they have just described to you, and you are going to create a report that shows the change and the progress that they have made since the last visit. These are really important because then you can see they've had a 5% change in their wellness indices. They are doing better. They're feeling better, not only from a subjective point of view, but also from an objective point of view. This is so important because I have seen so many people think that they have not done very well at all, and you do all of the objective measurements and they've made a 5 or 10% decrease in the amount of symptoms and increase in all of their objective data, and they're feeling, all of a sudden they're feeling much better about the entire process. Next, you're going to update the dosages and or change products, because as people move from phase 1 to phase 2 or from phase 2 to phase 3, they're going to need different products and and supplements to really make those changes stick. So as you continue to present them with progress reports and they see the changes that are occurring, you update the dosages and the products right along with it. And they see the progress, you see the progress, and so they start telling other people about it. And then finally, the patient will be scheduled for the next follow up visit. You schedule that patient about 30 days out, and that patient should also be charged for any additional supplementation that they are taking. So, if they're using digestive aids, if they're using smoothie kits, if they're using adrenal support, whatever it is, this is over and above the fee that they paid on the front end. The next in office visit is the second follow up visit at day 60. But remember that your wellness technician is doing a weekly 5-minute wellness phone check on each one of these patients of yours to keep them engaged in the process. At the second follow up visit, you're going to do very similar to what you did on the first follow up visit. You're going to do a quick symptom check. You're going to see what kind of symptom changed since the last 30 days. And then you're going to document that and put that within your new report. The next thing that you do, you're going to go through a phase check. You're going to review the phases of care worksheet with them. How did they do this month? Did they move a phase? Are they still in the same phase? Are you reiterating what you did last month? Are they really going through gut reconditioning? Are they really starting to see some changes? Are they increasing their exercise? Wherever they're at, you just make sure that you document that. Next, you're going to do the progress assessment, where you're going to collect in office measurements using the vitality, aesthetics, and longevity indices to look at the objective changes that have occurred over the last 30 days. Then you're going to present a new progress report. This progress report will utilize the collected metrics that you have just created and make that report show any changes that have occurred over the previous 30 days. So, in other words, you're going to check their subjective and their objective data, and you're going to put that into a progress report and be able to show them specifically in a numerical fashion how much change have they made in the last 30 days. Then at the 60-day visit, you're going to do what we like to call the milestone pep talk. And really the bottom line is with that is you try to motivate the client to finish strong, because what happens is in our experience, the first 30 days, they're pumped, they're going really well. It's somewhere between the second 30 days and the final 30 days, they have a tendency to slack off a little bit. But this is the time to talk to them and say, you know what, you're doing great. You've shown some very positive changes. You know, you could really even move from phase one to phase two, or from phase two to phase three, if you really stick to it and do the best you can for these last 30 days. You do an update of the dosages and products. In other words, if they're changing, if they're moving from one stage to the next, or if you see that there is something that you could add or take out of their care, you do the changes there, and you do that dependent on where they're at in the phases of care and with their progress report that you have just provided to them, so that now you know and they know that you are both on the same page and seeing exactly where they're at. And then the last thing you do on that second follow-up visit is to schedule the final reassessment visit in 30 days, and then charge them for any supplements that you have provided to them in this second follow-up visit. One of the most important things you have to remember in between the second follow up visit and the final reassessment visit at 90 days is, before that reassessment visit, while the wellness technician is doing the weekly phone checks, on that second or third weekly phone check between day 60 and day 90, they need to make sure that they send a new endocrine stress survey and order the follow up labs, so that then all of these different components can be available on that 90-day visit. Because it is extremely important to have all of the data there, so that then you can make a full assessment as to where they're at in the phases of care, so that then you will have a much clearer understanding of what to do in that next 90-day cycle for that patient. Your patient has finally reached day 90. It's time for the reassessment visit. In the reassessment visit, you do exactly what you did on the first visit. You're going to do a progress assessment. You're going to collect all the in-office measurements that you did on day one, and which will include all the vitality, aesthetic, and longevity indices. You're also going to do a phase check. You're going to review the phases of care worksheet with that patient again and to see if they are ready to move on to the next phase. The third thing you're going to do is you're going to deliver a full progress report. It's going to be based on the new survey that you had sent a week or two beforehand, the post lab results, the new progress measurements that you made, and you're going to show the change for the entire 90-day cycle. This allows you to really show how far they have come. Then the next component is you're going to do another pep talk with them. You're going to say, okay, you're in phase 2 now. Do you really want to move into phase 3 where you can have more fat burning activity? You have less problems with food intolerances. You're moving towards wellness. Do you want to keep this ball rolling? The next thing that you can do, which I'm doing more and more now that is very effective, is you can do a testimonial video. If the patient is willing to share, they sign a release and start filming their story. Just pull out your iPhone. Begin to create a library of videos that you can show future patients and other healthcare providers in the future so that they understand what you are doing and why you are doing it. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to update the dosages and/or products. If somebody is moving from phase 1 to phase 2 and they don't need the digestive supplementation anymore or less of it, this is the time to change the whole thing. And so then as you go through the phases of care and their progress report with them, it is then time to change their products and supplements. And then the final thing is to schedule their next follow-up visit. So where are they at? Do they want to do another 90-day cycle? Are they still in phase 1? Are they moving to phase 2? This is the time where you sit down with your patients and you go back to their original, the real reasons why they did this program in the first place. Have they met the goals that they wanted? If they have, fantastic. If they haven't, say, it is time to do another 90-day cycle and really finish what we started. And that is what I'm finding over and over again. Once they understand where they are in the phases of care, they get that another 90 days is going to be necessary for them to move towards what they want. And so once they get it, all you have to do is provide them with the opportunity and the tools and the process, and they will do it. Once that patient has committed to another 90-day cycle, before they leave, what you also need to do is introduce the referral program to them. And the referral program is nothing more than, if you like what I have done for you, how many people do you know that are in the same situation that you're in and are not being helped? If you would please introduce my program to them. Here's some trifolds. Here's some different marketing material that I have available. If you think that I can help them, you just give them one of my trifolds and let them know that I'm here to help them. And once you start to create that referral strategy on a regular basis, there will be absolutely no way that your program won't continue to grow. Now that we've gone through the entire 90-day cycle, the next thing we have to do is figure out how much space will you need within your clinic to provide your functional medicine services to your patients. Really, any room can be designated as your health restoration room. It could be a multi-purpose room. It could be a treatment room that you're not utilizing into capacity. It could be any room in your clinic that you find that you could use. And the space needs to be able to be private when necessary, so that when you're talking to them about their real reasons, when you're talking to them about HIPAA sensitive kind of information, that you can shut the door and they can understand that privacy is paramount. Next, the type of equipment that you need to get started is very minimal. You need a scale, you need a blood pressure machine, you need a pulse oximeter, you need a digital spirometer, a tape measure, some sort of fitness measurement equipment, and a computer to record the measurements as you take them. The majority of us listening right now have these kinds of things in our office already, with the exception of maybe the spirometer and the oximeter. But there is very little cost to get this whole thing started. You just have to realize that this is the objective measures that are going to be necessary to show improvement on a regular basis and a consistent basis to keep people moving towards wellness. Okay, now you have the equipment, you have the space. What is your next step? It is to create a detailed plan with timelines to begin implementation of your wellness program. First, what is your business plan? What is your core approach to this wellness program? You have to sit down and make it yours. How do you do it? Plan it out. Because once you understand exactly what your flow chart is going to look like, the next step is to start your pilot study with friends and family. You've already been through the 90-day cycle with your new wellness technician. So just continue to add to that different people that you know and trust that will give you honest feedback, and so that you can continually learn what is going to be necessary, what is your flow to make it fit within your current practice situation. You've already gone through this with your wellness technician, so now you understand the flow and how it is going to work within your office. Then you start with a pilot study with people that you know and trust that will give you good feedback, friends and family, maybe 10 people, so that then you can start to build your confidence and know how things are going to work in your office. Then the final step before you roll it out to your entire patient population is then take some of your core clientele, so maybe 25 to 30 people that you really know will give you the feedback that you need and make sure that everything is working correctly. And you're building up all of this data to show the objective and subjective changes that you can make in 90 days that nobody else in your area can make. This becomes your marketing material. This becomes your testimonial base. This becomes what is going to help you make your functional medicine program different and successful when there's so many out there that aren't. The 4 secrets to making sure that this happens for you is to identify the right staff member, to use both subjective and objective data to move your patient along the wellness continuum. Use relationship building strategies between the 30, 60, and 90-day visits to make sure that they stay on task and that you understand where they're at. And then finally, use a proven software system that will allow you to reproduce and scale your wellness program, so as you continue to grow, it will be there for you. So there you have it. How to use staff in 90-day cycles to create a complete wellness program for your practice.
Dr. Bill, thanks for all the time and effort that went into showing us a more detailed look at the 90-day cycle. This information is incredibly valuable, and working with you on putting this together has cleared up many questions I had about how you managed to integrate your staff into this model. For those of you who like what you see and want to join the hundreds of doctors already doing this work, I want you to visit www.speaktodrbill.com and schedule time to ask Dr. Bill questions about his practice and see how you can get started right away. This is a great and free opportunity to find out if now is the time to stop dreaming and start building your cash-based functional medicine services. When you get Dr. Bill on the phone, I encourage you to ask him a bunch of questions, including, how do you keep everything organized? How do you transition from pain to wellness? How do you do this work without cannibalizing your already busy practice? Time to mark your calendar for the rest of our series, where we will be finishing up our comprehensive look into blood sugar handling, thyroid dysfunction, and practice management. If you like what you see and are receiving a lot of value, you owe it to yourself to invite a friend or colleague and start the journey with us. If you have missed any of our previous sessions, visit transformwellness.org to watch past sessions, get acquainted with our partners, and start adding these services before your competition does. Thanks for watching Dr. Bill provide direction on how he incorporates staff into the mix. We encourage you to utilize these tips to scale your practice, to grow it without you doing all the work yourself, leading to better outcomes, happier staff, and more committed patients. Please join us for our next webinar on Tuesday, October 6th with Dr. Annette Schippel and her presentation, Chronic Stress Equals Chronic Blood Sugar Issues, where she will show us treatment strategies based on the blood sugar assessment. We will now enter the question and answer portion of this webinar. Welcome back, Dr. Hemmer.